Good evening, everybody. Wow. Hello. How are you doing? How is everybody doing? It's great to see you all again. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Yes, this is a completely different setup. I'll explain about that later. I am here to talk about the big announcement today, the John Lennon Power to the People set that's been announced today, coming out on 10th of October. I want to talk all about that and other things as well. I'll explain what the heck this room is. Don't worry, this isn't where videos are going to be in the future. This is a one-off. So can you hear me and can you see me? My goodness, it's hot in here. I've got this actually. I'm going to tell you about this as well. I actually just got this a few days ago through the post, along with this and some various other things. We'll come on to that. Nobody's saying that you can't hear me. All clear. Oh yes, thank you, Richard. Hello, Richard. How are you doing? So hello, everybody. Hope you're all well. I've been gone a long time. I'll talk about that later on. But yes, John Lennon, Power to the People. This is a very, very different box set to the ones that we've had over the last few years. But in many ways, very similar. It's just being approached very differently. We'll talk about what we like in there. There might be something in there that some people are not too happy about. It's understandable. I might be able to just shed a little bit of light on something there without going into too much detail. It looks like Cell Block H, Andrew, says Richard. Yeah, it's yeah, I will come on to that. I'll talk about where the heck I am and why. So hidden tracks, says Richard. We'll talk about that. It's incomplete, says Paul. Yes, we are obviously going to talk about that. So I'm sure you've all seen the announcement today. I'm going to quickly run through what's in this box set and the different configurations of it for the people who've not seen. I apologize if my face is going the same color as my t-shirt. It's so warm at the moment. So warm. So there is, like the other box sets, there's going to be a deluxe box set, which in the UK seems to be priced at around £169 at the moment, and I think maybe about $200 in America. Not sure about other countries. So the deluxe box, as I have been saying for months and months to anybody who cared to take any notice, will be 9 CDs. 9 CDs, yes, plus 3 Blu-rays containing the audio from those 9 discs. So although they're Blu-rays, this is an audio-only release. Okay, let's make that absolutely clear. So the one-to-one concerts that are a big part of this box set, my understanding is let's just be a little bit more patient for a video release of those. We've seen there's been a couple of clips already shared by the John Lennon account on YouTube, for example. A few months ago, Well was released, and then just earlier today, Come Together from the one-to-one concerts. They look superb. They've done a great job on that. Let's be a little bit more patient for the audio version of it. This is sorry, for the video version of it. This is audio only. So deluxe box, 9 CDs, 3 Blu-rays, a 204-page book. So let's quickly break down what's on those 9 discs. Disc 1, so the one-to-one concert, Madison Square Garden, August 1972. Disc 1 is going to be a hybrid, a kind of best of the 2 shows that were done that day, the afternoon show and the evening show. So you get like they'll have picked which are the best takes of each song. And as we see further on where there's 1 disc versions available, that'll be this hybrid version. Okay, so disc 1 is that. But also in this box, you get in the afternoon show, which is 15 tracks on disc 2, and the evening show, 16 tracks on disc 3. So they're your first 3 discs, and they're going to be on the first Blu-ray in high-res audio as well. Please keep your comments coming, by the way. I'm going to try and get to all these. You can obviously have discussions between yourselves just while I go through this, but I'm going to come to your comments, and if I do miss them, send them through again. I will try and get to them, as you know I always do. Disc 4. Okay, we have to talk about this. This is what's called a reimagining of the Sometime in New York City album. And this is like we've had in previous box sets, the ultimate mix of an album, this box set is clearly different right from the start, because this isn't a box set of an album with a load of bonus stuff relating to the album. This is a box set of an era of which the Sometime in New York City album was a part of that era. And there's various reasons why it's fairly obvious why they've done that. We'll touch on them anyway for completeness as we go through. So, of course, the big talking point here is there's no getting away from the fact there is a song missing from this. Woman is the of the world. So it's not there. The Lennon camp were in a no-win situation with this. What do? Do you release the song and deal with backlash? In the past, there hasn't been so much of a backlash. You know, as recently as 2010, they released it in the signature box. But now the world is a different place. And the thing that has made the difference was 2013, the Black Lives Matter movement. It's changed everything. And without going into too much detail, what I will say is that I know that the song being missing is not how the Lennons and the Lennon camp would have ideally presented this album. It was a very considered decision. I know some of the information about this. It was a very considered decision, and on balance, this was the only way that they could go. Okay. Now, before I go any further, Elijah Burnsy boy, that's very kind of you. Thank you so much. Really excited for this box set. Great to have you back. It's great to be back. Nice profile pic you've got there from the rooftop. Thank you so much. That's much appreciated. Where was I? You know, they were damned if they did, damned if they didn't, but probably more damned if they did. And they were led down a path that they didn't necessarily want to go down, but ultimately felt that they had to. So the song's missing, but there's been speculation, and this is nothing more than speculation at the moment. Will that song be in the box set as a hidden track? Honestly, I have no idea. I hope it is. I'll understand if it isn't. But there are people in this world who, quite frankly, in my opinion, ought to keep the neb out, who would kick up so much of a stink. That this is where we end up. This is the world that we live in now, and I don't particularly like it. I'm not a fan of revisionist history, but sometimes, you know, we all know that song was meant in a particular context, and that context would get completely missed by a large section of today's population, unfortunately. Oh, George, wow, thank you so much. I haven't asked for this, and I never do ask for this, but that is most appreciated. Thank you. It is fair to say the old YouTube earnings have dried up a little bit over the past few months. Dearie me. But that's not necessarily why we do this. We do it because it's fun. If this wasn't fun, I wouldn't do it. So yeah, that song's not there. But we've got a remixed version of the Sometime in New York City album. My understanding as well is that we are going to get some additional things on this album. This wasn't in the release announcement. This wasn't in the announcement, but there will be some expansions in there where, for example, if a song was faded out on an album, you may well be getting a fuller studio version of it. So, you know, what is taken away in one hand is partly given back in another. So I think nobody's taking our original copies away from us. Here's mine, for example. Nobody's going to come and claim this off me. My understanding is that the original version of the album will remain on streaming as well. So it's there for people to listen to, but to actually have it as a new release, unfortunately, ain't going to happen. But will it be a hidden track? We'll see. So that's disc 4 anyway. Now, the important thing to notice is that with all the configurations they've announced today, this deluxe box set seems to be the only place where you will get this reimagined version of the Sometime in New York City album. Okay, and I think, again, this is partly the fact that this is a very different box set. This is a box set not focusing on an album like all the others I've done, Plastic Ono Band, Imagine, Mind Games, etc. This is focusing on an era. If the album had been better received in the first place, then we wouldn't be having this conversation. It would have been a Sometime in New York City box set, I'm sure, with loads of other 1972 stuff around it. But I think the fact of the matter is that probably to the general public, 1972 was such a fascinating year for John Lennon and Yoko and everything that they were doing. The era becomes the bigger story than the album, I think, in this case. And for the other albums, that's not the case. The album's the big story. The 1972, probably everything else that was going around it was the big story. The album got panned critically. I really enjoy the album, and that's not just me saying it now because it's getting a release. I did a video 4 or 5 years ago, which was like one of my World Cups of John Lennon albums. Not the ones that I do now where you all vote on how things go, but this was just me putting albums through. I put Sometime in New York City. It got a favourable draw, I will give it that, but it got to the semi-final in my World Cup. So I enjoy the album. There's one song on the album that troubles me. I've never liked the look of the Irish as a song. I'll talk more about that later if anybody wants to ask me why. So anyway, that's disc 4. Disc 5, New York City Evolution documentary, 9 tracks. So we've had these on the previous box sets, these Evolution documentaries that start off with a really early version of the song, and then it sort of continues through to later versions, more towards the final version, a bit like we had with Strawberry Fields Forever on the Beatles Anthology. Beatles Anthology as well. News on that coming soon. Big news. So that's disc 5. Disc 6, New York City Studio Jam and Elements mixers. So we've got 16 tracks of rock and roll classics, which we had similar things on there. For example, Plastic Ono Band had quite a bit of that. John just sort of jamming old rock and roll songs. There's then 4 Elements mixers. So those Elements mixers where it's a song from the album, but it just focuses on small parts of the song. So maybe, for example, a drum, bass and vocal version, for example, or maybe a piano and vocal version. So we've got 4 of those. Disc 7, Live Jam 1. So this is the UNICEF concert that John and Yoko did 15th of December 1969 at the Lyceum in London. Plus what they did with Frank Zappa at the Fillmore East New York, 6th of June 1971. Disc 8, Live Jam 2, John Sinclair Rally in Michigan, 10th of December 1971. We've got tracks from that. Attica State Benefit, Apollo, Harlem, New York City, 17th of December 1971. I've written all this down before we came on air so that I had it easily to hand. I put the preparation in. Also on Disc 8, the David Frost Show from New York City, 16th of December 1971. And the Jerry Lewis Muscular Dystrophy Telethon, New York City, 4th of September 1972. Disc 9, Home Jam. So we've got home recordings of John, even though he was actually in a hotel for some of it. St. Regis Hotel, New York City, 10th of December 1971 and 27th of October 1971. And also home recordings from the campus in Ann Arbor, Michigan, 10th of December 1971. All that clear? I'll be testing you on this later on. That's your 9 discs in the deluxe box set. Now, before I move on to the other configurations, I'll just do a little cheers with you. I'm just going to have a little beverage. It's too warm not to, frankly. There's a 4 LP box set, black vinyl, 31 tracks. That's the afternoon show on the first 2 discs, the evening show on the second 2 discs. There's a 2 LP transparent green vinyl. That's a johnlennon.com store exclusive. 17 tracks hybrid best of. So, you know, I said if they were doing a 1-disc version of the one-to-one concerts, it would be these sort of best of the afternoon or the evening shows. That's what that is. There's also a 2 LP black vinyl version of that available, more widespread. There's a 2 CD deluxe triple gatefold lenticular cover. So one of those, you sort of flip it one way, it's John, flip it the other way, it's Yoko. Afternoon and evening show, 31 tracks. So you've got both shows there. Complete, apart from that one song that we talked about earlier. They've had to withdraw it from the live shows as well. Again, do we know whether or not they're going to be bonus discs? Hidden tracks? No idea. I hope they can find a way to do that. There's also one CD, which is this hybrid. It's best of the one-to-one concerts. That's your configurations, okay? There's a lot to go at there. Let me know in the comments what you are planning on getting. I'm going to go and pick up some of the later comments. Apologies if I miss yours. Send it through again. I'll try and get to it all. So we'll talk about this for a bit. Also, then let's have a talk about anything else. Why am I in this weird room? All that kind of stuff. What's going on? Am I back for one night only? Am I back for good? We'll talk about that as well if we want to do. But let's stick with John Lennon, the Power to the People box set. I've actually got I've got a couple of box sets here. I've got the Give Me Some Truth box set from a few years back. So there's 2 songs on here which have already been released. So we've got My Spatial Awareness here, Angela, and the live version of Come Together from the one-to-one concerts. They were on here on the Give Me Some Truth box set, and also on this version here, which was the white vinyl version. It's beautiful, beautiful Record Store Day version that came out, I think about a year or so after the original Give Me Some Truth compilation. We also had they started ramping up the promo for this early on in the year, and there was, for Record Store Day, there was the EP, 4-track EP that was released, which is upstairs. I meant to bring that down so that I could show that as well. I've forgotten to bring it downstairs. Never mind. Yeah. Well, I'm sure we'll deal with it. We'll cope. Okay, let's go to this. Let's go to the comments and see what's what. Slava, hello Slava. Was there a copyright altercation between Lennon and Zappa camps? I think there was some upset on the Zappa side about John's use of those tracks. I think there was wasn't there a Frank Zappa album came out 2 or 3 years ago that had it on a Zappa album, I believe. I didn't get that version, but I believe that was the case. So hopefully they've sorted out if there was any tensions or disputes. Hopefully that's sorted, and that's going to be appearing here in the which disc was it? Disc 7 of Live Jam 1, as it's called. So yeah, that's going to be in there. What's George saying? Let's remember it was of its time. It certainly was. John was political, especially in 1972, more so than any other year. I personally think this whole era was powerful, and to get it all remastered and reissued, remixed, just to clarify, is well worthy. Buy it or don't buy it? Yes, you will. Fair enough. I did really enjoy the one-to-one film that came out at the cinemas a few months ago now. Was it about April or I think May, maybe? Really enjoyed that. I mean, I learned so much there about the sort of build up to the concerts, the reason for the concerts. I didn't know anything about the Willowbrook, is it, the children's home and all that side of things that they were raising money for. That was harrowing. I didn't know anything about that before I went to the cinema. Yeah, that was a really fun film. I hope that gets a release along with the one-to-one concerts, as in visual Blu-ray. At some point. Hey Anthony, how are you doing? Good to speak to you. Not spoken to you for a while. You can't fully join tonight as you're camping, so we'll catch up tomorrow. But I'm really glad you're back. Thank you very much. Well, thanks for popping in. Enjoy your camping trip. Hi Andrew Gledhill, how you doing? Welcome back. Good to see you again. Thank you. Good to see you. Hope you're going to be putting in your order in at Revolution Records for this, hopefully. Elijah, it says, is there any rehearsal content from the one-to-one gigs? Not in this box set, so that's not going to appear anywhere. My understanding of that is from things that I found out a while ago is that the audio quality of the rehearsals wasn't considered good enough. I think I read something today that says that it's out there. in bootlegs. So it is out there, but no rehearsal content from the one-to-one gigs. Can you believe that back in August 1972 they weren't thinking about a 9-disc box set in 2025 and making sure they had all the rehearsal footage? They just didn't think. They didn't think about these things back then. Richard says, "Bet you're glad they didn't send you a hoodie. I certainly wouldn't have been wearing it tonight. Goodness me." Hi Xander, it's your birthday coming up, so you might treat yourself to the deluxe box set. Have a great birthday. Hey, Beatley Tone from Beatley Tone's Beatles channel. Beatley Tone's excellent Beatles channel. You missed a word out from the beginning there, Tone. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're keeping well. 9 CD box, 4 LP and coloured vinyl for you. Excellent. It has to be the full 9 CD box set version, says the Drag Gurus. Yeah, one way or another, I'll definitely be getting the 9 CD, 3 Blu-ray box set, and I will make sure that I get probably the full vinyl set as well, I think. So I think I'm right in saying I don't think there's been a vinyl version of the reimagining of the Sometime in New York City album. I don't think that's in any of the configurations, is it? It's been a lot to take in today. Tell me if I'm wrong. I didn't have a lot of time to prepare for this because I actually had to go to a funeral today, which was late afternoon, just as the announcements were coming out. So I didn't even get to see any of the announcements until a few hours after. And it's just been a case of quickly get ready for this live stream. So I'm still taking it in. You know, if I get any of these little bits of detail wrong, please pick me up on it because I'm still getting it in my head myself. Vince, you're getting the deluxe box. Excellent. Hey, Gerard, how you doing? Apple has a new boss, hoping some great Beatles stuff soon. Yes, that's right. So Jeff Jones left. I think he's retired, hasn't he? And I can't remember the new guy's name, but he seems to be a younger, hopefully more modern thinking person. And it will be very interesting to see if his approach becomes obvious in what the Beatles release in the near future and longer term as well. George says the t-shirt is very collectible. Well, you know what, there'll be quite a few people will have had this t-shirt for over a year, because if we just go a bit further down, a Game of the Mind, Liverpool, 6th of July 2024. So these t-shirts were handed out to, I don't know if it was to everybody who took part, but certainly plenty of people who took part in the treasure hunt that happened, that Sean and his team arranged in Liverpool last summer as part of all the Mind Games promotion. I wasn't able to go to it. I was just up the coast from Liverpool in Blackpool that same day for my granddaughter's birthday. But sorry, as much as I love John Lennon, my granddaughter's birthday is taking priority. So I wasn't able to go to this. So I got sent this last week. I was really chuffed. Yeah, along with, it's power to the people, lots of other goodies, but there's actually just this as well, which I'll show you. It wasn't just me that got this, by the way. I think there's quite a few people who've been taking part in the Escape to Newtopia game that's online through the John Lennon website. So people have been asked about. It was about a year ago. I remember filling in something that said, "What's your T-shirt size and what's your address?" And I guess the result of it is that this was sent. But this card was in it as well. Hopefully you can see that. Here's a little gift to say, thank you for playing disc 1 of Escape to Newtopia. See you in Newtopia. Love, Sean. escapetonewtopia.com. So disc 1, it wasn't an actual disc. It was a game online that, you know, supposedly from enter disc 1 and there's the game. I found the game difficult because my brain doesn't work in that way. It's one of those games where you give instructions. You know, John Lennon wakes up in bed, he can't see where he is. Where is it? Yeah, I can't see where he is because he hasn't got his glasses on. So I typed in, put your glasses on, and that didn't work. And I have trouble. Some people absolutely love those games. It's very clever. My brain just doesn't tend to work in the way of that game. But they're doing a second disc. It's not actually a disc, but a follow-on version of the game, I believe, is coming soon, presumably to cover the 1972 era rather than the Mind Games era. So that's I don't know when that's coming, but that should be good. Hi, David Jackson. How are you doing? If John had stayed in the UK, could have released Sometime in York, your hometown. Yes, very good. Kurt's ordered a few variations. Excellent. Thank you, David Reed, for confirming, as I thought, no vinyl version of Sometime in New York City. Might it get, you know, if enough people want it and make it clear that they want it, maybe it'll happen. Like I said about 10 minutes or so ago, the fact that people have slammed this album for 50 years probably leads us to the situation that we're in now. Okay, so you know, if everybody slags off an album, that's the resulting thing. Beatly Tone, one thing you've noticed in the comments of your video, yes, I've not had a chance to fully watch it yet because as I was just been saying, I've had a really busy day. You've noticed in the comments of your video that everyone is complaining about Woman Is, yet nobody's typing the word, which kind of justifies the decision. Yes, why can't they put out the song with this word in? I'm not going to say the word, but John Lennon should be able to. Yes, yeah, it's a good point. Yes, very good point. You know, like I said, damned if they do, damned if they don't. Hi Jimmy, how are you doing? I'm surprised we won't get the 2 film shows in the box set and only the audio. This is an audio only release, yeah, like the others have been. But I would certainly expect that the video version will be coming, hopefully a physical release, but you know, they've done all the restoration, they've shown us the results of that in 2 of the songs. It's going to be coming, we just don't know yet when. Hey Pablo's Vinyl, how you doing? Great to see you back, thank you. You've ordered the 9 CD box set and the coloured vinyl, excellent. Where's your vinyl wall gone? Yes, I'm going to come on to that. Let's cover the majority of the Lennon stuff, and then we'll talk about what the heck this room is that I'm in at the moment. What I will say now is, and I'll explain why in a bit later, you ain't going to see that room again. Baron Saturday says, if you write the word in comments of a video, it's deleted. Interesting. So maybe have some people actually type the full version of the song title into Beatly Tone's comments and YouTube's. I guess a lot of people though haven't. I think that's a very good point you make there, Baron Saturday. I think Beatly Tone's comment is also probably equally valid. Did I do a review of the 1-to-1 documentary, says Malvern Bard? I didn't. This is the first content of anything I've done on YouTube since Record Store Day, when the John Lennon 4-track EP came out, which was the precursor to this announcement. I haven't done anything on YouTube since then. I did do a relatively in-depth set of tweets on Twitter. I'm still calling it Twitter. I'm not going to use that stupid name that Elon the idiot uses. It's Twitter. I did a fairly long review of it on there, and I have been doing a lot of stuff on there still. I just haven't been doing videos. So no, you didn't miss it. Does this new album and box set roll directly out of the documentary? Well, it's all connected. You know, it's all to do with the same time period. There was actually some other really interesting videos announced about a week ago from the John Lennon YouTube account released. I don't know whether you got to see them, which I'm hoping they're going to be part of a 1-to-1 video box set, which was like conversations about setting up the 1-to-1 concerts, previously unseen video about that. That's worth having a look at over on the John Lennon account if you've not seen it. Hi Lila, if Lennon was black, he would be able to say it. This is very true. Whilst I'm not going to go too much down this road because it can only lead to trouble, it's a really weird world we live in where what you say is perfectly true. I'm not getting any more into it because, you know, you see the trouble that we're having, and you know, I'm having to bite my lip here and not say things I want to say. So yeah, what a crazy world we live in. David says, what Woman Is Thee wasn't included in the Give Me Some Truth box set, which shows this censorship had started even then. Yes, true, it wasn't in that one a few years ago. Jimmy says the 4K restoration looks way better than anything the Beatles and MPL has released in the last couple of years. Certainly. I mean, it was probably more professionally filmed. The stuff that Paul has released, like the one-hand clapping, it was only ever released. It was filmed onto like tape, and I don't mean really good. Was it videotape? And what was 1974 videotape like? Pretty crappy, probably. So it was filmed onto that. It was never really intended for release, but yeah, it does look amazing. They've done a great restoration on it. Neil says, is the deluxe set being sold on Amazon? I haven't found a link yet for it on Amazon. I have got a couple of links actually. If anybody's looking for them, I'll just paste them in here into the chat. I found links for the 1-disc vinyl, which is the hybrid afternoon and evening shows, and the 1-disc CD, which is the CD equivalent of the same thing. What else have we got? Lila, again, good point. When you think of the discrimination Lennon had to put up with just trying to be with Yoko, a woman he loved, he and Yoko were victims of racism. Yeah, they absolutely were. There was a lot of stuff directed at Yoko, wasn't there, because of her race? Yeah, absolutely. Sean is a lot more respectful of the situation with women, says Gerard. Yeah, I would also say, you know, as I alluded to earlier, this wasn't necessarily how Sean and the team wanted to do this, but there was no other option, really. Sebastian, hello, says, welcome back, Andrew. Thank you. You don't complain about what's missing. I'm glad about what we are getting. 9 CDs. Greetings from Germany. Hello, Germany. Yeah, you know, what are we getting? Look at this. There's like 90 odd bonus tracks on top of the one-to-one concerts. We're getting an incredible amount. And what this is really doing is filling in that gap that the Beatles love a gap. The Beatles have got an obvious gap at the moment. If we look at everybody's sets that they're releasing at the moment, the Beatles, you know, obviously we've got the early years still to do, but even later than that, we've got an obvious gap. What happened after Sgt. Pepper and before the White Album? That's a gap. We need it filling. Paul McCartney, where do you start with the gaps there? You've got the biggest obvious gap is London Town Back to the Egg. There is still no news on that. You've then got other gaps because we've got later archives of Flowers in the Dirt, Flaming Pine. You've got all those gaps in between. Are we ever going to get those gaps filled? We've got a gap in the George Harrison deluxe box sets at the moment. Concert for Bangladesh. I'm still very confident that that's coming. The video has clearly been restored because they've been, over the last couple of weeks ago, they've been releasing little bits of that. I'm hoping that that's some kind of build-up of generating publicity for, that's got to come at some point, surely. They've spent all that money. They have spent a load of money doing this, the audio and the video. You don't do that unless there's a reason for it. So I'm convinced that's coming, but it remains a gap. This new box fills that gap. We've got we've got the Plastic Ono Band, we've got Imagine, we've then got a gap, we've then got Mind Games. This gap has been filled. We've got that portion of John's career from Plastic Ono Band through to the end of Mind Games. We will have that magnificently filled. And if I sound like I'm heaping a lot of praise on what the Lennons have done over the years, some people say, oh, he's only doing it because he gets sent free things. It's not that at all. There's various things that I've been critical of in those box sets, and I've been critical of various things in that, but I love the way that they do it. The fact that they've built up this hype around it. There's not been any secret about the fact that this announcement was coming today. You know, they've been telling us. There's especially over on the John Lennon message boards, you know, over where the Escape to Utopia is, on their forums there, all sorts of information has been dropped over on there in advance. They're really engaging the fans, and I love the way that they do it. And that's why I'm heaping praise on it, because I like the way that they do it. So we've got Max 7 mentions if you had the look of the Irish. I did say if you, when I was going through my notes about all the 9 discs of stuff, I said that Look of the Irish was the one song on the album that I really don't like. And maybe I just don't get it. You know, maybe somebody here might explain to me that, actually, Andrew, you're wrong. and this is what he meant. But there's those lines in it where it says, if you had the look of the Irish, you'd wish you were English instead. And I'm thinking, you know, obviously I'm English, but I'm thinking, I can't imagine any Irish person wishing they were English instead. Surely they're, all right, they've had a lot of rubbish times over there over the decades. They've had a lot of nonsense to deal with. But surely, do they wish they're English instead? I don't think so. Am I misinterpreting that? Tell me if you think I am. But I've just never really connected with that song, mainly for that reason. Max7 also says, speaking of the Irish, John did a Sunday Bloody Sunday before U2 did theirs. Yeah, both great songs. Both great songs. As Alan Partridge said, it really encapsulates the frustration of a Sunday, doesn't it? You've got to wash the car, look after the kids. Oh. Actually, Alan, it's about a massacre. Oh, no, not going to play that again. Sorry, I'm going off topic there. Paul has been very quiet this year so far, release-wise, says Richard. Yeah, so did you all notice that there was not for the first time, but a couple of days ago, from the Paul McCartney social media accounts, there was a little message, sign up to the Wings Fun Club to be notified of future Wings releases. Now, while that in itself isn't a new thing, he's done it several times, it was being done, I believe I'm right in saying, a fair bit before One Hand Clapping came out. The other thing that I thought was quite interesting was, I think it was yesterday, the Beatles official accounts reposted that. Now that to me suggests that it was a little bit more than a please sign up to a mailing list. So I've been thinking, well, what could that be? It's Wings. Unless they have really, really got good at secrecy over what they're announcing in terms of archive collections, I don't think it's going to be London Town Back to the Egg. I'd love to be wrong, but I don't think it's going to be. And the thing that I'm still, right, this is me speculating, but speculating based on a little bit of knowledge. I know that about 3 years ago, they were preparing for release Wings Over Australia, 1975. Obviously didn't happen, but it's the 50th anniversary now. So could we finally get Wings Over Australia 1975 as a vinyl CD release? That's where I can't shift that thought from my mind. Like I said, it's not based on any knowledge of knowing what's coming, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's what it is, because I know they were seriously planning it not too long ago. Glyn Fairby, hello. What do you make of the huge posters that have appeared in Matthew Street showing the Beatles with the words "Coming soon, the crowd," and "Coming soon, the source"? It's the first I've heard about this. Coming soon, the crowd, and coming soon, the source. I don't know. You've obviously had time to think about this. What do you think it means? It's on Matthew Street. I mean, that it can't really be anything Cavan related, can it? If it's on Matthew Street, the crowd, the source, as in the source of where they hailed from, I don't know. Could it be alluding to the Star Club Hamburg, which we know that Peter Jackson has been trying to get sound good? Don't know whether he's had any success with that or not. Is it something to do with Shea Stadium? Because the Beatles have been promoting on their accounts the 50th anniversary of Shea Stadium. Or is it really cryptically something to do with the Beatles anthology, which we know is something's coming for the Beatles anthology as the big release for this year? Don't know yet what. Is it going to be just a straightforward re-release of the anthology, maybe on streaming? As I've said before, they would have to do some work to it because, for example, the on-screen titles, they look really dated now. They would have to at least put new, like, high-definition titles and graphics on screen. Is there going to be new audio? There's rumours that they might have remixed Free as a Bird and Real Love in the same to the same quality that they were able to do Now and Then. I was reading earlier on today about the fact that apparently now on streaming it's recently changed so that it says 1995 mix and 1996 mix for those songs on streaming. Is that to differentiate them from some new remixes that are coming? Even though we've already had remixes of both those songs on the one compilation in 2015, but apparently this is a new thing that they've been labelled like that on streaming. So yeah, I don't know exactly what that's referring to there, Glyn, but interesting. Rory says, did you get to see Oasis? Again, I haven't done a video about it, have I? Yes, me and my daughter, we went to the first night at Heaton Park, Manchester. Heat wave that day. It was so hot. It was incredible. It was ridiculous. We were, by the time we'd taken advantage of crowd surges and managed to get ourselves further forward, we were right in the centre. There was 4 people between us and the front barrier. That's how close we were to the front. Incredible. It's. I think I've placed it number 3 on my all-time gig list. Maybe number 4. It's debatable, but it's definitely in the top 5. It was fantastic. I love just how much happiness Oasis have brought to this country over the last month and a half maybe now, since they first started in Cardiff. Just heard nothing but praise and happiness from people who've been there, and it's fantastic. And they're off to Dublin soon, and then they'll be off to America, Australia, and just if anybody who's going, just enjoy it because it's fantastic. Yeah, absolutely brilliant. Deborah Gatti says, is Rubber Soul Deluxe box set still a possibility this year? I think I was saying this back in my last live stream, which was months and months ago. No, it's not happening this year. I think that's certain. The big Beatles thing for this year looks to be anthology related. They keep putting off Rubber Soul, don't they? Keep finding a new excuse. I'm still marginally annoyed that it was bumped for Red and Blue. I looking back on it now, I don't really see the point of the Red and Blue album re-release. I don't think Now and Then needed it. I mean, that was obviously the excuse for it. I don't think it needed it. It was able to stand on its own 2 feet, but yeah, Red and Blue, I think it was a mistake, but it's just my opinion. For anybody who loves it, it's not a mistake. It's great. Hi, Mike. You're not sure we'll get the new Paul album before the next leg of his tour? Not enough lead-in time. Maybe so. Yeah, that's all gone quiet on that. The last thing I remember really hearing about that was Paul saying just before Christmas that he was looking forward to finishing off that leg of his tour so that he could concentrate on mixing his new songs in the new year. Has he done that? Was he not happy with the results? Is he just enjoying taking some time off? And you know what? If he is slowing down and just thinking, you know what, a new album isn't a priority of mine, if that's what he's doing because he's enjoying life, nobody's earned the right more than he has. So, yeah. Hi, Martin. Martin says, hi, Andrew. Good to see you back. Thank you. It's very good to be back. George says, you love the way Sean Lennon has totally embraced the mind games cryptic thinking. Has Beatles officials taken on his lead, and is it now a theme in some other projects in production? Maybe so, yeah. It always interests me how you've got the Beatles releases that are obviously at the top. You've got the top guys from each of the camps, and yet the Beatles releases don't seem to follow any of the patterns that the solo Beatles releases follow. Always strange, but they could do a lot worse than listen to Sean on a lot of the ways about how he goes about promoting these sets, because he really does do it the right way. Sheffield and Beyond, how are you doing? Not spoken for a long time. Will you be seeing Dylan later this year? Yes, going to see him in Leeds. I wanted to get right up at the front. Couldn't do that, but I've got right at the front of the sort of next section. Are you going? Let me know. But yeah, I've seen him once in Sheffield, ironically, 2007. It's probably going to be the last chance, isn't it? So yes, I'm going to see that in November. Lady Tron says, do you have a theory as to why Paul has not issued London Town and Back to the Egg, 2 great albums? You know, it's over 5 years now since the last archive release. It was the end of July 2020 when Flaming Pie came out. And why hasn't it happened in the meantime? Well, there was talk. I'm sure they would love to do a double package like they did with Wildlife Red Rose Speedway that came with Wings Over Europe. I'm sure they would love to do a similar thing with a Wings 1979 live package included, perhaps. And there was talk that that there was some sort of court case around rights. It wasn't said what those rights were, but you would have to assume it was something like a concert for Campuchia, something to do with Rockestra and all the people who were on that. That probably delayed it a bit. So that might have something to do with it. They are albums that Paul doesn't seem to have loved over the years. Might that have something to do with it? But he always said that about Wildlife. Didn't stop that from getting a great archive release. So I don't know. I could speculate. The court case certainly delayed it. People like Lawrence Juber and Denny Lane, well, Lawrence Juber in particular said, because I was lucky enough to interview Lawrence about 3 years ago. There's a video on my channel with that. Myself and a few other guys interviewed Lawrence, and Lawrence did say that he'd done his talks, he'd done his interviews for a Back to the Egg box, and it's just never happened. Interesting. Neil Gregory, what's your top gig, Andrew? Yours is U2 Zoo TV. My number one gig is and always will be U2 Zoo TV, Leeds Round A Park 1993. Nothing will ever beat that. I'm confident of that. It was incredible. Up on a hill overlooking. So I was like, unlike Oasis, where I'm literally looking at like 4 lots of people in front of me. U2 Round A Park, I was at the side looking down on the crowd of, I think it was 95,000 people on it, high on a hill looking over it, and it was phenomenal. It really was. Thank you to everybody who's welcoming me back. It is appreciated. I'm going to come on to that. I will talk about that. Sheffield and beyond, you're going to Leeds too. Excellent. Well, if you see me, come and say. If you see me, say hello. There's nearly a Bob Dylan song title in there. What else have we got? Martin, you have an album recommendation. Talk, Spirit of Eden. Loving it. Is that one of their old albums? Is it a new one? It's not one I'm familiar with. David, hi David, how are you doing? You read that the archive collection has been suspended due to high production costs and low sales. That may well be the case. That wouldn't surprise me at all. And if that is the case, I will continue to solely blame one thing. And that is that silly Flaming Pie huge box that I didn't understand it on the day it was announced, and I made my feelings perfectly clear on the day it was announced that I thought it was nonsense. For quite a while afterwards, sad person that I am, I would sometimes go onto the McCartney website and just see how many of those I could put in my basket before it said, sorry, we have no more in stock. And I worked out at one point, this is like long, like at least 18 months, 2 years after it was released, they had about £150,000 worth of stock sat there of that silly huge box. Now, if that ain't going to kill a series, I don't know what is. So if that is the case, and it could perfectly well be true, that's what I blame for that. Gerard, you got the incredible book by Suze Rotolo, Freewheeling Time. Also bought first issue of the Dylan album, Freewheeling Bob Dylan. Excellent. I mean, I haven't, it's so long since I did a video that I've not even talked about A Complete Unknown, the Bob Dylan film, which I went to see at the cinema. Oh, it was fantastic. I loved that film. I presume some of you have seen it. Let me know what you thought about the film. I loved even just how they made New York look like 1962. There was one bit, there was only, it was interesting, and I will now say something that I thought at the time. If I was doing videos at the moment, this is what I would say in my review. So it was a few months after I'd seen the Midas Man, Brian Epstein film, which I did do a video review of, and it's fair to say I fairly much ripped it to shreds. And then The Complete Unknown, I absolutely loved. And it got me thinking that part of the reason why I had such a reaction to one of the films and a complete opposite reaction to the other might be me doing a disservice to things like Midas Man, because you know, we know the Beatles story so well. Loads of us who are here tonight, we know that story so well that anything that isn't quite as per what we know as the story, we're going to pick on. Why did they go into Money at the Royal Variety performance in Midas Man rather than going into Twist and Shout? It's wrong, it's horrible, it's terrible. Why did they do this? Why did they do that? It's horrible. And yet on A Complete Unknown, there may well, as far as I know, have been just as many factual errors. But I don't know enough about the Bob Dylan story to know that. Therefore, I just took it in and I just loved it. Maybe if I was some sort of uber Dylan expert, which I'm not, I love listening to Bob Dylan, and I've listened to him more than I've listened to nearly anybody else. But I'm not a Dylan expert by any means. And maybe if I was, maybe I might have slated the film. There was just one bit that was clearly to me an obvious error, and I thought, it didn't bother me at all. And that was right near the end when they're doing the Newport Folk Festival. Dylan goes electric, and you get somebody in the shouting Judas, and you know Dylan goes, "I don't believe you. Play it loud." Yeah, we know that didn't happen at the Newport Folk Festival. But I wasn't bothered because I thought, well, you know, it was an important part of that story, but to actually have a whole other scene set in England somewhere else, I can understand why they did it. So it didn't bother me at all. Lila says the Pete Seeger character is superb. Yes, that was Ed Norton, wasn't it? I didn't even realize it was Ed Norton until about 2/3 of the way through the film, because I was just so engrossed in the fact that whoever this is as Pete Seeger is fantastic, and he was brilliant in that. Kathy T, you loved A Complete Unknown. Excellent. Beatley Tone, Live Aid will always be our #1 gig, but that's a great one to have. My favourite single performance, as in single song performance from Live Aid, although obviously Queen were unbelievable. Freddie stole the show. I'm not going to deny that. It was the gig of a lifetime for that. U2 doing Bad. That song. It's probably even still over the last year, the song I've listened to the most is the Live Aid version of Bad by U2. Yeah, I mean that nearly broke the band up, did that performance of that song, because of what Bono did during that sort of 11 minutes. Yeah, nearly split the band up, but it was incredible. I love it. What else have we got? Sheffield and Beyond, you were reluctant. Yeah, I can imagine, because I know you are a huge Dylan fan. You were reluctant but pleasantly surprised. Excellent. Baron Saturday says, do you know if there will be a 50th anniversary deluxe of Living in the Material World on Japanese SHM CD with the bonus track? I've not heard anything. It's not the kind of thing that the George can usually get involved in, is it? The SHM CDs. So I'm not expecting it, but I don't know. I've not heard anything about that. Congaman, is that right? How I've pronounced that? Apologies if it isn't. Will there be a concert release on DVD and Blu-ray? Nothing announced yet, but my understanding is that that's coming. We've just got to wait a bit longer for that. So this is an audio only release. For anybody who's joining late, thank you, welcome. I did go through earlier on in the live stream all 9 discs and all my notes about the 9 discs. So please feel free after this is finished, if you want to go back and see this from the start, you'll be able to see what we talked about earlier in terms of that. Gerard says the Dylan stuff is awesome. His show got dumped on for going electric. He did, didn't he? But you know, we all benefited from it in the long run. Yeah. What else have we got? Elvis Costello singing "All You Need Is Love" was best, as he wasn't trying to promote his latest album. That's a fair point. Yeah. Okay. I think Queen weren't either, were they? So it would have been a good, what, maybe a year, 18 months or so after the Works, but still a good year before a Kind of Magic album. So I think Queen were another one that were there for certainly not promoting anything. And McCartney as well. You know, obviously he didn't have anything out to promote. Emmy Anthony, which Power to the People set might you get, Andrew? I will certainly want to have the 9 CD box set. I'll certainly get that, and probably a 4-disc vinyl. Now, will I get the 4-disc black vinyl? Or will I get the 2 Oh, no, the transparent green vinyl is only 2 LP. So yeah, I want the 4 LP box. It is a shame that you can't get it sometime in New York City reimagined version on vinyl. But, you know, again, earlier on, I went into my thoughts on maybe if we'd all treated that album a little bit differently over the years, we might have been getting something a bit different. Now, Sheffield and Beyond, you're seeing Bob 10 times this year. Wow, is that all in the UK? Are you going abroad to see him? Wow, that's fair play to you, mate. Well done. Winston Oregge, hello from Chile. Goodness me. Yeah, you've got fans around here, and good to see you back. Oh, thank you very much for joining me from Chile. Goodness me. Is there anybody here from further away distance than? I'm just going to type into Google Maps from my home to Chile. I want to see how far away that is. Goodness me. Yes, we've got Google Maps. So it says, sorry, we could not calculate directions. That's how far away it is. Even Google Maps can't answer it. Blooming heck. Anyway, moving on. Richard says, did you watch the Borrowed Time film? Thoughts? I did not watch the Borrowed Time. There's been that many lately. I watched the Daytime Revolution, which was great. I really enjoyed that. I need to get hold of a Blu-ray of that. I watched the 1-to-1. I think Borrowed Time might be the one I haven't seen yet. So I don't think I've seen that one yet. But I need to get to it. I've been a little bit busy lately. Actually, you probably know the reason why I've been a little bit busy lately. From our chats we've had separately. Hi, Mike Oliver. How are you doing? How are you doing? Good to speak to you again. Paul's Archive says, hi, nice to see you back. Well, this was a great announcement today. Maybe you mentioned it already, but no woman is the of the world. No, we discussed it at length earlier on. Again, like I just said a few minutes ago, if you want to go back and at some point and watch this video from the start, it's been discussed at length. You know, to compact it into a short one sentence, damned if they did, damned if they didn't, and they had to go one way or the other. Yeah. You caught the Dylan bug, Sheffield and Beyond. No Cure. No, you've not been seeing the Cure yet this year. I know what you mean. Actually, though, the Cure, they are probably my number one now band / person who I haven't seen live that I want to see live, and I've probably got 2 years to do it, because Robert Smith insists when he's 70, in 2 years' time, that's it. I have to go and see The Cure before they stop performing live. Beatley Tone says, Live Aid, from what you remember, Adam Ant was the only one who played his unreleased forthcoming single, Vive le Rock. Yes. I loved Adam Ant. He was a big early hero of mine. But it's not great thing to do, is it? A big charity event like that. Here's my new single. Never mind. David Locke says the Lennon estate does a way better job on their box sets than the Harrison estate and the McCartney team. I mean, I love the George and the McCartney box sets, don't get me wrong, and I want to drink them in. I want them all. I want more of them. I think the main thing that the Lennon estate does better, and there is various things that they definitely do better, it's just the promotion of it and the way that they don't treat it like some state secret in advance. They let you know that we're going to be making this announcement. You know, we're going to let you know something's coming. We want you to take part in it. We want you to be part of the fun. Okay? Whereas with McCartney and George camps, it's, oh, top secret, we can't give anything away. And it's just, you know, it just feels like there could be lessons to be learned from how Sean does it these days. What else have we got? When Paul debuted Freedom at the concert for 9/11. Yeah, although that song was specifically for that reason, and it's different. My God, it was a dreadful song, wasn't it? I suppose it is a bit different, isn't it? Because that was a song about the reason why they were there in the first place. So is it Winston O'Regan? Is it just me, or Sean hates saxophones? He deletes them from last year's Mind Games and from this live set as well. Right, this harks back to something I said earlier. I wasn't able to look even at what the announcement was until 2 hours before this live stream started, because I was busy, unfortunately, doing something else today. So is that true? I haven't seen that yet. Is that true that saxophones have been deleted from the live set? If so, I don't know. Yeah. Right. So I think, you know, we've talked a lot about what's happening with Lennon. If you've got anything else that you want to chat about, I've been on an hour now. I didn't intend to be on massively long tonight. It's a bit like a footballer doing pre-season training. You know, this is actually the first live stream I've done this year. Would you believe? Heck. Wow. It's only the second since last August, a year ago. It's crazy. So yeah, right, okay. I'm not in my normal room. That's very obvious. I think I've only done one video in here before. When I did the live watch-along party for Paul McCartney's Glastonbury headline set in 2022, I did it from this room. But I think that was the only other video that I've ever done from in here. So upstairs, my music room that I've done all my videos from for the last few years, that room is pretty much an empty shell at the moment. There's no CDs in there. There's no vinyl in there. My hi-fi system's still set up, but all my vinyl, apart from what I showed earlier, what I brought down for the purposes of this video, all my vinyl and all my CDs are in storage at the moment, a few miles down the road, because I'm moving house. I'm not going to be in this house for much longer. Maybe, could be a couple of weeks, could be 3 or 4 weeks, don't know exactly yet. But yeah, I'm moving house. I have a room that I've designated as my YouTube room. So that means that my hope is, no, not my hope is, I am carrying on. Obviously, I've not been on YouTube for months now. Prior to today, I've made 2 videos this year, and I'm going to admit this, that I don't think I've said to anybody yet. I don't think I've said this to any friends or family or anybody yet. I thought probably a few months ago, I thought, I'm done. I think I'm finished with YouTube. I think that's it. But I tell you what, in the last few weeks, when I knew, for example, that this announcement was coming today, and I just thought, nah, I love it. I love it. I've not been able to do it much lately for other various reasons, but I'm ready. I'm ready to get back into it. But although I'm ready, my house isn't, because you can see, look, this is a box here that's got kitchen stuff in it. These lights here, these are to go into storage. I'm not really in a position to do it at the moment. But as soon as I get moved, I've got a new room set up, and it's going to be a little bit different. I'm gonna set it up with all my records and everything, and set it up for live streams and all that kind of thing. I'll get it looking good. But what I'm not going to have in that room is my hi-fi system. I'm going to have that downstairs in the living room. Partly because it means I can also hook it up to my big telly. And because I've got my 2 subwoofers as well now, it's going to be awesome. When if I'm watching films, detached house, crank it up. Thank you very much. It's going to be lovely. So yeah, my new room that I will do YouTube from. So I'll have my records in the background. I'll have those shelves like I've had before, where I can put different records on that maybe fit the video that I'm doing. I'll have my lighting. I'll have all that. I just won't have my hi-fi system in there, so it won't be a room that I sit in to relax and listen to music in. It'll probably be my work office. So I'm sweating like a pig here. It's so hot. I work from home, so I'll probably work in that room as well. Yeah, so that's over the last few months. It's been a weird few months. I'm moving house for reasons that I don't want to talk about. But yeah, I thought I was done, and I've decided I don't want to be done. I want to carry on doing it. So one of the things, actually, it's weird. One of the things that I'd been doing on YouTube, some of you might remember, I'd been doing that, what I called the bottom shelf vinyl voyage, where I had a big shelf full of vinyl albums. This was my non-Beatles section. So there was no Beatles, no McCartney, Lennon, or anything like that in there. It was all my other vinyl. And I've been doing a series of videos where I went along start to finish, just showing what they were. And I never got around to finishing that. And weirdly, twice this week, people have asked me, are you going to finish that bottom shelf vinyl voyage? So I'm going to say this now, because if I say it, I'm committed to doing it. I'm going to finish that this year. I think so. It was being done alphabetically. I'll try where I can to pick out things that I'd got as far as, I think it was the Red Hot Chili Peppers was where I'd got to. Anything I know that's obvious that I bought since and not shown, I'll pick those out and include those. But I'll finish from Red Hot Chili Peppers onwards. I've got obviously R to Z. I've got quite a lot of jazz albums, so I'll cover the jazz albums. And then various sort of soundtracks and things like that. So I'm going to cover all that. So anyway, yeah, there you go. Derek Roberts, you're late. I need a note explaining the reason why, and then we'll say no more about it. But thank you for being here now. I hope you're well. I tell you what, actually, I'm going to share a link with you. This isn't something for now, but I was a couple of weeks ago. I was a guest on a radio show, local radio here, Selby Radio. It was an hour-long show, and it was a show called Music and Me, and I was a guest on it. And you go on and you talk about music with the host Will for an hour or so. I had to give him 4 songs in advance that I wanted to talk about. That I wanted him to play, and I'll talk about why I wanted him to play them, what they meant to me. And then a 5th song, which was a song that was an answer to a question that Will, the host, asked me. So I'm going to share you a link for anybody who wants to have a listen to that. Not now. If anybody leaves now, and goes off to listen to this, I won't be angry. I'll just be very, very disappointed. Okay, so I'm gonna trust you with this link. Okay. Well, that's not it. Oh, that's the link I shared before with the links to the one-to-one stuff. Let me just get the link again, and I'll share it with you. So if you want to go and listen to it later on, you can do. I'm just going to make sure that people with this link can view it. Right, let me try that again. Let me try and send this link again. Yeah, that's it. Okay, don't go now and listen to it. But if anybody wants to, here's a link to a radio show that I did a couple of weeks ago, but then it was just broadcast on Monday night and repeated last night. So anyway, what have I missed on the chat just recently? Derek says you just finished downloading the entire 7-inch box set of McCartney. Excellent. What I did download of that, because I've got the vinyl box set, but there's some of the items on there, because it's all available to download in high res. Some of the B-sides, for example, you couldn't get digitally previously. They've not been on archive collections or anything like that, for example. So I did download the ones from the 7-inch box set that were sort of exclusive to that, the different edits. David says, still in Yorkshire? Absolutely, I'm not leaving Yorkshire. But I am heading a bit closer to what I regard as home. I'm going back to East Yorkshire. East Yorkshire's home to me, and I would say I'm heading to the very western part of East Yorkshire, but I am sort of gradually getting slowly closer to what I carry on as consider as home. Thank you for those who are saying you're glad I'm carrying on with YouTube. Thank you. Beatley Tone is not interested in the jazz albums. No jazz for Beatley Tone. That's fair enough. I've got to be in the right mood for it. Richard says, have I changed the stylus on my P3? Is it rudimentary? I have changed the stylus. And I'm going to try and see if I can just find which one it is. Right, yes. I've got the Audio Technica VM540ML. You got that? Audio Technica VM540ML. I got that installed with it when I got it. I bought the P3 and deliberately got that installed at the same time by the guy in the shop. Cheers, everyone. Sheffield and Beyond says, don't put too much pressure on yourself. Just go at a pace that feels right. Thank you. Look forward to any future videos you decide to make. Thank you. I appreciate that. I mean, I used to have this thing back when I was a lad. Got to get a video out every week. Got to have a video out every week. And to be honest, you get to the point. I felt I was getting close to the point where I was putting out a video for the sake of you've got to feed the algorithm. You know, you don't put a video out, YouTube's gonna never recommend any stuff of yours to anybody ever again. So I fell into that trap, and I don't want to be one of those people. And they're out there. I can think of a few examples of people who I know are like this, who just put a video out because they haven't put a video out just lately. And I never want to be that. I want to put a video out if there's a reason for it. And that's partially another reason why over the last few months I haven't done too much. I needed a break, and it just happened to fall quite nicely with the fact that there wasn't much happening, really. So yes, I missed a few things that I probably should have done videos about. The one-to-one film, when I went to see that at the cinema, I should have done a video about that. Probably the same when I watched the Daytime Revolution John and Yoko film, which is awesome. I learned so much from that. I knew nothing about that, really, about that week of TV broadcasts that they did. Really, I should have done a video about that. I should have done one as soon as I got back from Oasis. I didn't, because I just couldn't face it. But I'm ready now. I'm ready. Lila says, favourite Oasis song they play live. Well, I'm slightly disappointed that they didn't play the song Lila. And anybody who does actually listen to that link I shared a few minutes ago, that Selby radio show that I was on, I do talk about that, the fact that that's the one song I wish was in the set. But what was my favourite that night? I don't know. I just loved the whole damn thing. It was amazing. I blubbed at the start when the whole montage was on screen. You know, in the intro. I loved the intro that they did, where they used the audio from Close Encounters. You know, talking about could we have the lights down in the auditorium 60%? I don't think we could have chosen a more perfect evening, do you? And then there's the thing about, is it uncorrelated targets coming from northwest? Audio from Close Encounters of the Third Kind, one of my favourite films. But that's perfect. What I didn't realise actually until a few days ago is that they used that same intro on their last tour in 2009. I hadn't realised that. But to have that, and then that montage kicks in with the Effing in the Bushes song behind it. And yeah, I was gone. I was just so happy because, you know, that was 16 years of wanting that to happen, and there it was, finally happening. And I haven't answered your question in any way, have I, Lila? What was my favourite song that they did that night? I don't know. Rock and Roll Star was great. They were all great. Some might say was fantastic. Whatever was great. It was all superb. Where did I get my P3, my Riga P3 turntable from? I got it from, it's not there now. It was in Headingley in Leeds, and it was a shop called something like, I want to say Audio Republic or something like that. The guy who ran it was from the Northeast, and I think he shut that shop down and went back to the Northeast, so it's not there anymore. But that's where I got it from, and I asked him to put that Audio Technica needle on at the same time. James Nicholson, hello James. You went to see Oasis at the first Saturday at Wembley. It was incredible. Your experience was that 90,000 people were united in the pure joy of seeing these songs performed live. What an experience. Yeah, fantastic. It's like I said about 20-30 minutes ago, the happiness that they've brought to so many people. I think with one of the later Murrayfield concerts, they hit 1 million people so far in just over a month for the shows. Fantastic. Emmy Anthony, opening night in Cardiff. You were there, were you? Brilliant. Lila, you refused to do the Poznan though. Are you a Man United fan? Look, I will say, although I think the Poznan is a stupid thing at a game of football, I did do it just because I thought I just want to take in all of this night in full. I did it for about the first, I think I just did it for the intro of, it was it Cigarettes and Alcohol or was it Rock and Roll Star? It was Cigarettes and Alcohol, wasn't it? Am I misremembering? I just did it for the first bit of the intro, and then I turned back around again. So I did do it for a few seconds, but I do agree that at a football match it's a silly thing. David, you lived in Manchester. Heaton Park was at the top of your street. Ostrich Pub Beer Garden. Fantastic. I bet it was busy in there. Yeah. Elijah, you saw them at Wembley. Brilliant. Yeah, a mate of mine went to see them at Wembley and he loved it. And another mate of mine went to see them at Heaton Park, as I did one of the later gigs. My cousin went to see them at Murrayfield last week. Yeah, and various friends who've been as well. It was Audio Republic, was it, Andrew? Thank you for that. There is now a new shop there called the Audio Room, and they also have a shop in Hull. Okay, excellent. Hello, Trevor Dixon, no relation. Welcome back, thank you. Acquiesce, Paul. Acquiesce was great. It was. They could have opened with Acquiesce as well, couldn't they? You know, you get people saying, "Oh, I wish they hadn't done Hello as the opening because it's a bit like Gary Glitter." Yeah, but Hello, I understand. You know, if Oasis carry on beyond this year, I think Hello probably won't be the opening song. I can understand why it is at the moment. Yeah, so oh my goodness me, Lila, where would I place Oasis alongside the Beatles? Well, I mean, obviously the Beatles are the Beatles and they're untouchable and nobody's ever going to get close to them. But this isn't the first time I've said this on a video, but there are ways in which I'm closer to Oasis and will have more of Oasis in here than I ever will the Beatles in some ways. And that's mainly because, you know, I was there for it. I wasn't for the Beatles. I wasn't alive then, but I lived the whole Oasis thing. So there, and there's a lot of things happened during Oasis that coincided with special times in life. So there's always a way that there is a certain way in which Oasis will always be a bit more there than the Beatles ever will be, which might be a surprise to some people. CJ, Perry, I've not spoken to you for a while. How are you doing? Thank you. I'm doing okay, thank you. Martin, Dead in the Water is a brilliant solo track. Yeah, from Council Skies album. Was it two? It wasn't last year, was it? It was 2 years ago. That was like one of my sort of top 2 or 3 songs of the year. It's a lovely song, that. Rory says only one song is not from the first 2 albums, you think? Well, there was definitely 2, because there was Do You Know What I Mean from Be Here Now, and there was Little by Little. Little by Little has had an amazing reaction at every concert. It's become this huge thing that it probably wasn't at the time. But that's been great to see. Little by Little, the crowd just absolutely belting that out, as they were for every song, to be fair. I've never known a sing-along like it. I'm going to be honest, I hardly heard Liam the whole sort of nearly 2-hour show. Partly because of where we were, because we were so far forward, the speakers were actually sort of above us. So there wasn't a single speaker pointing at us. So me and my daughter, we happily traded off a bit of sound quality to be right up there at the front. So I have no regrets at that. If I was going to go to another show on the tour, I probably would want to stand a bit further back so that I could get a different experience of it. So somebody said something about, where was it? Oh, this was it. Elijah, what's your Oasis prediction? Is this a one-off or are they back for good? No, to take that. I'm joking. Already highly rumoured they've recorded an album. Is it a one-off or are they back for good? I mean, it all appears on the face of it to us, Joe Public, to have been nicey so far. I hope it continues that way. I mean, at the moment, they're in the UK, especially, for example, when they're in London, nice and easy to go back home in between gigs. Hopefully, when they're stuck, sorry, I won't use the word stuck. I won't use the word stuck. Hopefully, when they are out in places like Australia and America, will they? What you don't want is Noel and Liam having too much time together, probably especially after a gig. But having said that, Liam appears to be doing this so professionally. All the talk is that he doesn't hang around for any after-show parties. He's straight off. He's talked about how he's looking after his voice a lot, whatever weird concoction it is that's really looking after his voice. He's doing it so professionally. And if a bit of that reason is so that he can avoid having 10 beers after a show and deciding to throw a plum at Noel, then great. I'm glad that they're finding a way to do it. So will they continue after this year? Who knows? I really hope so. But if this year goes well, why wouldn't they? From their point of view, my God, the money they must be earning. I've seen rumours that a lot of the money isn't being paid to them until after the tour's complete. I don't know how true that is. That could just be somebody's made that up. I don't know. So, yeah. Nebworth next year. Could they do 30th anniversary shows of Nebworth? I would certainly love to go next year to Nebworth on the 30th anniversary of the day when I was there last time. Was it? I think it was the 11th of August. I think the Sunday, 1996. I'd love to go there on the 30th anniversary of that. That would be amazing. And maybe they could go around Europe as well, which obviously they're not really doing this time. Lyle says to think that you and your daughter know every word to Oasis songs. They cross generations. Yeah, there were so many young people there. And there was a lot of sneering before the concert started. People saying, oh, the kids are only going because they only know Wonderwall. That's the only song that they know. And I can tell you now from personal experience at the front of that concert, nonsense. That is not the case at all. I mean, I felt like a real oldie there at the front. I was expecting a lot more people around my age to be there. There was a lot of young people, and everybody was singing every word to every song. It was fantastic. So yeah, brilliant. What have we got? Thomas, so this is Oasis talk. Please rename them. No, we've done an awful lot of talk about the John Lennon release today. We've done all that. It's there. There was nearly an hour of it. We're moving on to any other business now, okay? And that's how it is, okay? I've lost my American viewers by talking about Oasis. I always lose viewers when I talk about Oasis. That's how it's always been. So what's this, Jeffrey? Sean alluded to hidden tracks being because of the Mind Games theme. I'll be surprised if the Power Box has hidden tracks. I think, yeah, there's a lot of things about the Mind Games release that was specific to that. The fact that the album was called Mind Games, Sean said he felt gave him license to, okay, let's have some games. Let's have some mind games. Let's do meditation mixes. Let's have puzzles and games and all sorts of things to do with it. Things that always looked like they were relevant to that one album that wouldn't necessarily follow on to other albums. Buddy Rowe says, welcome back, thank you. Did I enjoy the Look Up album by Ringo? Honestly, didn't grab me. So I bought it and I listened to it, and I've enjoyed the last couple of EPs. I've really enjoyed, and I listened to Look Up, and I'm gonna caveat this by saying I need to give it more time. I need to give it more attention that it hasn't had yet. But it didn't grab me. I was listening to it thinking, oh, this is nice. This is really well recorded. These are obviously great musicians. It's a really well-crafted song. But it's not really grabbing any attention for me. So I need to give it more time anyway. Rory says, was I an Aussie fan, Ozzy Osbourne? I'm going to be honest. I know very little about Black Sabbath. I know very little of their music. It's not a direction I've ever gone down. I think Ozzy was a great guy, and it's obviously very sad what's happened to him. I'm so happy that he got to do that last gig a few weeks before he died. And it's been really interesting seeing how much he meant to people when he passed away. But it's not an avenue that I've ever really gone down too much. To be honest, maybe I will one day. It's not that I've ever deliberately avoided it. It's just not, you can't get to everything in life, and that's one thing I haven't got to yet. But I'm certainly open to the possibility of finding out, okay, what is it I've missed over all these years, and I may well do that sometime. I'm not going to be on much longer, folks. I've been on an hour and a half. That's long enough for anybody. So any last questions you've got, get them through. I may stick to live streams predominantly for the time being, just because of this situation I'm in here, in the middle of moving house. A live stream is probably an easier thing to do. I could even just do one on my phone at some point, just stick my phone in front of me and do one there, rather than actually having a room set up, doing a nice, lovely looking video that's beautifully edited and all that nonsense. I'll get to that, but I might not be able to get to that for a little while. So I might do more live streams. I might just do impromptu live streams. So I'll tell you what, I don't ask this often, but I'm going to say it now. If you can, because I've been away so long, YouTube algorithm probably hates me at the moment, and it's probably not going to recommend my stuff to many people. So if you feel that it fits in with how you like to do these things, if you could do that cringy thumbs up, that would be great, because that says to YouTube, oh, people have liked this video. We'll see if other people want to watch it. We'll show them it. So if you're able to do that, that would be appreciated. And that's only because I've been away so long, and YouTube will just, you know, the algorithm hates me at the moment for that reason, probably. So if you're able to, thank you. Captain Mike says World Cup of Oasis songs, or have you already done that? I honestly don't even know whether I've already done that. I've done a lot of those World Cups, and somebody asked me the other day, a friend of mine asked me if I'd already done a Beatles solo album World Cup, and I said, I don't know. It sounds like the sort of thing I would have done. I still can't quite remember whether I did do or not. So I don't know. Yeah, thank you. So, oh, there's some lovely thumbs up there. Thumbs up there. Yeah, thank you. There's also that thumb. I don't know if you can, when you actually see the thumb on the video, you know, when you like a video, that's the one. That's the one. If you're able to, that would be great. Just for the time being, just to get myself back noticed by YouTube, that would be great. Derek says Ringo did 2 country albums, crossover twice. I liked Bokus of Blues. I did enjoy that, and he's announced he's doing another one, hasn't he? So that'll be interesting. So yeah, but I do need to give Look Up more time. Yeah, thank you for that. Will there be a Walls and Bridges box set? Says Miguel. Hello, Miguel. You've got to imagine that there will be, surely. There's no particular news on it. What I am really glad is that at this point in time they've gone back and done this and filled this gap in between Imagine and Mind Games. But then will they then go on chronologically? Maybe so. It does. I'm surprised they haven't done Double Fantasy yet. You know, Yoko thankfully is still with us. I would have thought Yoko would want to make sure that she has the best chance of being around for a Double Fantasy box, but I don't know. Captain Mike might have some news for me here about my past life. You did that amazing spreadsheet with the solo Beatles albums, all being in the colours of the suits on Sgt. Pepper. That was a cracking bunch of watches. Do you know what? I agree. Yes, I remember that. Now, that wasn't a World Cup, but that was. And I'm glad you noticed that about the suits on Sgt. Pepper, because I don't think I mentioned that anywhere in those videos, did I? But 1 or 2 people picked up on it. So what that was, for anybody who hasn't seen it, it's all still on my channel. If you want to scroll back through videos from past years, I did. I updated a really old set of videos, which was Paul McCartney album rankings, but I went to the extreme lengths, and I went into more depth on Paul McCartney albums in terms of what I included. It included every classical album, every live album. It included all sorts of little oddity albums that he's done. And I did this full ranking. Then I did, for the other Beatles, I did a John Lennon album ranking. I then did a George, and I then did Ringo. I then combined all them together so that John, Paul, George, and Ringo albums were all in one ranking. And I then threw the Beatles studio albums into that mix. So I came up with a Beatles and solo studio album ranking list that was about 130 albums, I think, roughly. It's all still there. It's several videos, but it's one of the biggest undertakings I've ever done, because also as well, the majority of Ringo albums I'd never heard at that point. So I had to go and listen to Ringo's entire discography and rank all those albums that I'd never heard before. So that was a big ask, was that. Xander says, when do you think there will be new info? I presume you mean about anthology from the official sources. Certainly with the Beatles and the solo Beatles, they seem to be in a nice little groove where they don't step on each other's toes too much. So we're obviously in Lennon announcement timings at the moment. That will be given its window in the sun for however long, and then maybe they might slip an announcement in. It seems that often the Beatles and releases have often come around sort of October, November time. Lennon's is going to be October the 10th. Might the anthology be November? could be because it's that would be the 30th anniversary of the original anthologies. It would be a good time to do it. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe shortly before or a week or two after the Lennon release, maybe that'll be when the Beatles stuff ramps up. I don't know. So yeah, there you go. Gerard says, wish I would have done a White Album Super Deluxe box set review. Yeah, I didn't do much on that. And the reason was that came out in, was it October 2018? And I think it was November 2018 when I started doing videos. That was when I started on YouTube. So I did do a video, I seem to remember, where I showed it and I showed how it looks on your shelf. Awful video, awful quality video. But I think I did do something about it, but it was like it might have even been the very first Beatles video I ever did. But it's all there to watch. Blooming heck, it's awful. Right, anyway, folks, I'm going to wrap this up. It's been awesome to be back. Thank you. Thank you for all the kind messages you've sent tonight. It does mean a lot, and it does mean that it gives me an incentive to want to do this, because the main thing I get from this is the feedback that I get from you. And if I get good feedback, then it makes me, I'm only human. If I get good feedback, I think, I want to do more of that. If I get rubbish feedback, well, forget it, I'm out of here. So yeah, it does mean a lot. Thank you very much. And I'll be back soon. It might be in this house, it might be in my new house, it might be in my room that's not quite set up yet. I have no idea. But for now, I will say, power to the people. Let's enjoy this new John Lennon release when it comes. Thank you very much. See you later. Bye-bye.